welcome back to another episode of Contagious Victories. Today I have with me John Mansfield from All Heart Photography, as well as the Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. So I'm just excited to talk to you about both of those things, John. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk and I we just recorded a couple days ago on my podcast. I'm like, this is going to be so much like Tory time. This is so great. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it meant a lot that you asked me to be on Wisdom in the Tangents because it was one of the first interviews I've ever done where I got to talk about my podcast and
Yeah.
share kind of, that. So it was such an honor to be asked, and it's going to stand out in my mind for as long as I've got this podcast. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about you. So tell me about being a wedding photographer based out of Texas and also a dad and podcaster. What's that like?
Yeah, it's busy. It's a lot. I'm a primary like stay-at-home parent. I work from home. My wife works out of the house, so I am here with the kids all the time. Summer, as we're recording this, it is summertime, and everyone is here. They're right outside my door, so we may get
Oh.
interrupted. Who knows? But yeah, it is. It's a wild ride of running a full-time wedding photography business from the house, and also keeping up with a weekly podcast, and finding time to be on other podcasts like this, and get to talk to fun people, all while like trying to really be intentional with spending a lot of time with my kids and being in the moment with them, and not just like sitting there on my phone uploading to Instagram or something while we're building Legos or whatever. I want to be
Yeah.
intentional and in the moment with them.
And also sharing good wisdom and tidbits
Yeah.
along the way. So, how do they feel about watching dad work from home? I had a work from home dad growing up, and it always was really inspiring to me to see him go after his passions and follow his dreams while also working hard for our family.
Hmm.
So, what do your kids think about having a podcast host and photographer as a dad? Like, do they get to see
Oh,
that?
oh yeah, they get to see it a lot.
I bet.
Especially
Yeah.
our youngest. She's usually the one. We have three kids, 3, 6, and 9, and our youngest is usually the one that'll come knock on the door during a podcast, or while I'm, on a like a video call with one of my wedding clients, and she has made many cameos on the podcast of just me holding her, especially when she was like a little baby, uh, and just being on the video or wanting to talk to the guests. But yeah, I think they love it. I think they enjoy it. It's a normal for them, because I started the podcast in 2019. So for our 6-year-old, she was a year old at that point. So
Oh,
this
wow.
is all she remembers. Our 3-year-old, this is all she remembers. Uh, and then our 9-year-old, I started the photography business in 2013, so 11 years ago, and that's all he's ever known is whenever I say I'm going to work, it is dad's going to a wedding. He's going to be gone for most of the day.
Well, I imagine that it helps you with children at weddings and being able
Oh
to
yeah.
really show that attention whenever they are maybe in the bridal party or in the groomsmen party. One of the things that I remember you sharing with me when we met at the Heart Conference are the little cameras that you'll bring along to your
Oh
weddings
yeah.
that are for them, whether they're like they're not disposable, but they're flat, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remind me about those.
Holding it up for the audio. It's a paper shoot camera, and it's really cool. It's smaller than a cell phone, fits right in your pocket, and it's just got one setting, or I guess it has different like filter settings, but there's just a shutter release, and that's it. So I just have showed the kids where to press, and there's little viewfinder that's pretty much just like a window cut out so they can see what they're pointing at, and they'll just go around taking photos. And sometimes I'll take that to a wedding, um, especially if I know that there's going to be some kids there, because it's really durable, and as long as they don't, like, throw it in a lake or something, we're pretty good. But like them dropping it or something like that, it's fine, and it's all digital, so it captures it on a SD card, and I can just plug it into my computer and get to see the day through, like from knee height, from a child,
Yeah.
and what they're doing. And people are often a lot more, especially the wedding party, if they know the kid, they're a lot more relaxed with them than they are with me. Some stranger, some dude with a beard walking in
With
with
a
a couple
camera.
cameras, and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it gets some fun candid moments.
Well, that's really neat that you've been able to use just the curiosity that your kids
Mhm.
have for your business and your work life, and then also take that to your weddings and be able to incorporate just being a dad and yeah, taking the photos of the little kids in the bridal party and whatnot, like you said.
Oh
And
yeah.
I bet that's really cool to get those developed and to see
Yes.
them later.
Oh yeah.
Uh, well, I know you're in Texas, right? Is that where you're based out of?
Yeah, I'm a little bit north of Houston, Texas. So like the
Okay.
the conference that we met at, which it feels weird because that was only like 6 months ago, and I was like, I'm sure that we've met at some other conference, but no, I think that was the time that we actually met. It just seems like uh, I've
Yeah.
known you and Dylan a lot longer than
Really?
we
That's
have. Yeah,
great. That's
'cause I was thinking about that earlier this week before we recorded on my podcast. I was like, oh yeah, no, we just met like in October. That's crazy.
yeah.
But yes, so
Um,
that conference is about 3 hours from where I live.
okay. Well, that's really interesting that you have been to a few conferences too, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
I know you're a student of life, a self-proclaimed student of life, according
Hmm.
to your bio. So tell me a little bit about why you believe in continuing education through conferences, even though you've been a wedding photographer for 11 years. Like why keep growing?
I believe that if you stop growing, you just start like it's like that analogy of like the river, the current. If you're continuing to move, if you're continuing to grow, then you're bringing life, you're creating life, you're feeling more fulfilled, and I believe that I'm never going to learn everything. There's always something. Even whenever I go to a conference and I'm like, okay, yeah, these, like looking at the bios of the people speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, they've been in business for like 3 years, and I'm coming in with over a decade. I'm like, I probably know most of what they're saying. And being an educator myself, I know a lot of stuff, but I always find something, even if it is something that I've already learned or something like that. Maybe I'm not implementing it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good reminder. I need to be doing this. So yeah, I believe you should always be learning and always growing, because if you're still in stagnant, then that life, the joy, the creativity, just kind of dies. I have found
Yeah.
in my own life, when I stopped moving and growing.
Oh, that's really good. I love that you said that about how, you might hear something that you've heard before, but if you're not implementing it, then you may have learned it, but you're not. It's like the difference between wisdom and knowledge, and
Right.
how, you might
Hmm.
know things, but it's through the wisdom that you were able to instill it and make it a part of who you are. And that's when we really evolve and change.
Oh yeah.
So that's really good to hear, is that even as an educator, that you're still able to go to these conferences, like be in the room with people who are in the same field as you, who are doing the same things, or in the arena, in the ring, and just being there with them will teach you something, just by observation, like at
Oh
least.
yeah.
But I just heard a quote earlier this week too, and I wrote it down. I was going to read it verbatim, but I think I can spit it off. It was, I'm going to stop thinking that everyone else knows everything, and also that I know nothing.
Mm.
Because a lot of times we think people might know more than us, and they might know different things, but also we got to give our own credit of like, I've learned some things in my lifetime. So
Yeah.
yeah, hearing you say that really struck a chord again and reminded me of that quote I heard earlier. So
I think that's really good to remember because like imposter syndrome is a huge thing out there, and like I still battle with that. I get imposter syndrome all the time, of like even whenever I'm like reaching out to big name guests who have millions of followers and like they they have giant podcasts. I'm like, I don't know. Why would they want to be on my podcast and all of that? And I have to like get through that imposter syndrome of I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I'm not, worthy or whatever, and just ask the question. And sometimes it's a no. A lot of
mm,
times it was no. Um, but like it's like whether that's in podcasting or photography, seeing other people's work and then feeling less than because I'm like, oh, they were shooting in, Cabo San Lucas. I want to shoot there. I was shooting at a barn this past weekend. It's like very different vibes, and yeah, like kind of not believing in that I don't know anything and that everyone else knows everything, but that we can all learn from each other no matter where you are on the ladder of success, or the social networks and all of that.
oh yeah. Well, how do you handle those times when you get a no? Like, what is something that you would maybe offer as advice? Do you have anything that you could offer as advice of like where you go? Do you go back to the drawing board? Like, what happens in those moments, and how do you keep getting back up?
Yeah. I have had to train myself not to take it personally. I
Okay.
am very much a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. So anytime that someone was just like, no, I don't want, like even early on in my career, whenever I would meet with someone about being their wedding photographer, and then they would say, oh no, we went with someone else. It was like a dagger to my heart. And I was like, oh no, they've rejected me and I'm such a terrible person and I'm not a good photographer. And like I would just go down that spiral. And it's not something that you can just like flip the switch and just be like, all right, cool, water off a duck's back, I'm cool, let's move on. But it's definitely been something that I've worked on over the years of not taking it too personally and realizing this is a business. And also I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me, um, and maybe we're not a good fit. Maybe they wanted some other kind of editing style, or they want more of the editorial, and I am more of the candid photography, and it just wouldn't be a good fit if they went with me because I wouldn't
Mm.
be fulfilled in the photos that I was creating because I knew that they wouldn't enjoy them, and then they wouldn't enjoy them. And the same with like
Yeah.
podcasting and too, all that with like big guests. If they say no, it's not anything against me. It's just maybe it doesn't line up, and I've had that a couple times where it just didn't line up, and then 2 years later I reach out again, they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm available this month, let's do it. So yeah, not taking it personally, which I know is not something that is super easy to do, but taking those little steps and those reminders to yourself of like, okay, this isn't about me. Let's move forward.
I love that. And so it sounds like you actually gave two little pieces of advice. One, not taking it personally. And
Mm.
two, I'm hearing you say that you've got back up and tried again. And it sounds like even with some of the same people sometimes.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's likely that it wasn't even anything about you. Like you mentioned, that it's not personal. It's usually just a scheduling conflict, or maybe they had something going on in their personal life and it was more personal to them and
Hmm.
they couldn't do it, but they would later on. Or maybe, yes, the editing style didn't work out, so it would have required you to be someone you're not, and that's not what you want. So getting back and trying again, whether it be with the same situation, just at a different time, or with a completely new person who's more aligned with who you are and what you offer.
Yeah.
Sounds really great advice. So
Yeah, yeah,
love
and
that.
not
Yeah. Thank you
taking
for that.
yeah, absolutely, and, like, not taking that negativity from the no from the last person into the next one. So, like, the next lead that I get, not coming into it with that mindset of, well, they're probably gonna say no also because the last 3 people said no, and going
Yeah.
into it with that negativity because like, they can feed on that energy, like, when you get them on a phone call or a video or whatever, they can kind of tell like, oh, this guy is not confident in his prices, or he's not confident in what what he can provide as a photographer. And yeah, just like not taking that negativity in, but kind of like resetting, take a minute, clear your mind, go in with some positivity of this is a different place. Yeah, yeah, just breathe in, close your eyes, and this is a different scenario, even if it is with the same person. Like I follow up on leads all the time that I used to believe that they were, I make up these scenarios in my mind of, well, they probably didn't like me. They've already booked someone else. My prices were too high or whatever. But going into it, believing the best in them and not creating this like negative version of them in my mind, but creating a positive version of
Mhm.
maybe they're just really busy. I get really busy sometimes and forget to return emails. I get busy when I inquire about something on like Facebook Marketplace, and then 2 months later I'm like, oh yeah, is this still available? I totally, this was like out of my mind, back burner, not even thinking about it. And yeah, having that positivity mindset of maybe they just forgot. Maybe they thought they marked it as unread, but then it got left as read, and it's just in the thousands of emails in their inbox. Kind of going into it like that, and it changes your perspective on things.
Yes, giving people the benefit of the doubt. Like I think we could all use a little bit more of that in our
Hmm.
lives on a mass scale of like just, the person who maybe got your food order wrong or something, maybe they didn't mean to. Like I don't think it was on purpose, but like yeah, don't take
Right.
it personal. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and just roll with what actually does end up happening and let go a little bit and assume that that everyone's just trying their best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was some of
I
the
like that
best
too.
wedding advice that my wife and I got. We had those little like cards that people can write stuff, and we'd read
Yep.
them later. And we actually did read them. And one of them that has stuck with us, because we're coming up on 12 years now. And one that has,
Wow.
yeah, it's been a
That's
while.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's a victory story, John.
It
I
is a
don't know,
victory
like,
story.
yes, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you. Thank you.
go ahead. Sorry. So
Yeah.
you're reading
Well,
your advice.
this advice is one of the reasons like we're still best friends. We still want to spend all of our time together. We still just like support each other really, really well. And this advice was that of believe the best in each other. You're a team now. And you hear from, or at least we did, we heard from other married people about like, oh well, she wants to go do this, and this is her time with the girls, or it's like it's his time to go play golf or whatever. And instead, we it's our time. And if we need a break
Mm.
to go hang out with some friends, that's cool. And like always believing the best in each other, so if something happens that is like, ooh, kind of rubbed me the wrong way, we play a game that we say, this is what you said, this is what I heard, is that what you meant? And that has saved us from so many
Ooh.
fights, because we're just like, oh hey, hold on a second, you said this, I heard this, like this is what that meant to me when you said this. When you said, I wish you would do the dishes more or something, or even just like a passive thing of like, oh man, the dishes are overflowing. It's like, oh, I heard you don't do the dishes enough. Is that what you meant? Or were you just commenting that there are dishes and one of us needs to do them? Or now we can get the kids to do them. But like that
Ooh,
kind of
yeah.
thing of This is what I heard. Is that what you meant? And sometimes, yeah, I was in a bad headspace and I did mean that negatively. I'm so sorry. Thanks for calling me out on that. And other times, most of the time, it's like, oh no, I'm sorry. I was just commenting on the dishes that, I was planning on doing that later on this evening, not right now because I'm tired or whatever. But yeah, thanks. I don't want this to like fester in each other's heads of just like, well, they're always pointing out these things. And, that advice has saved so many bad thoughts and so many fights. And like, we can count on like one hand the disagreements that we've had. And we're just like, yeah, we just really enjoy being around each other
That's
all the time.
great. Yes, well, that is good advice. And I could see people using that even outside of their marriage, maybe with
Hmm.
their boss or in a situation, maybe with a parent where, sometimes the communication just gets tough and we say things and it's got a lot to do with the time that we say it. Going back to don't take it anything personal. Sometimes it's the timing, sometimes it's the tone or
Yeah.
whatever, but getting clear on, hey, I know this is the words, the physical words or actual words or whatever you said, this is exactly how I interpreted it, and just being able to take that third step and saying, I'm going to get clear. Is this, outside of that scenario, is this what you meant? Because I
Hmm.
care about our relationship, whether it be a husband and wife or sister and brother or whatever, like just having that kindness and that intention to go outside of the actual conversation and talk about what the meaning behind it and the intentionality behind it was
Yeah.
or is. That's really good. I'm gonna have to definitely share that one with Dylan. And we are always looking for little bits of tools to just use like that.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna have to let you know how that works out because I could
Yeah.
see us utilizing that a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, we are always looking for like that same thing of always be learning. We're always looking for marriage and relationship advice and tips. And sometimes we find some advice and we're like, I don't think that's gonna work for us. Like that that doesn't
Well,
seem like great advice. And
I
other
have
times, yeah.
one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Share it.
there's a funny one. I was gonna say that we tried and it didn't work out, but I've got to tell it to you just because you said that. So we saw it on Instagram, Facebook. One of the reels popped
Hmm.
up, and it was like, when you're fighting, go get a party hat, and you can't get mad at someone who's wearing a party hat.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes it's like we'll just say, okay, party hat, and so it'll be like the visualization. But we tried that one time, and it was like, okay, we just feel and maybe that was the point. We felt like fools
Right. Yeah.
because
Kind of takes you out
yeah,
of
you can't.
the emotion of being angry.
Yeah, so when we heard that one, we did give that one a try, and then it was like, yeah, this is silly.
Hmm.
But yeah, well, thank you for sharing that advice, and if you're listening, utilize it and see if it'll work with your partner or with another relationship that you are having maybe a little bit of trouble communicating with, or even if you're not, then
Yeah.
that'll prevent any troubles later on down the road.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about one of your many victory stories, or we could talk we could talk about them all. So I'll let you take us through them. But it sounds like you've raised some money at one point, a lot of money, not just
Yes.
a little bit. But
Yeah.
I want to hear about that story. So I'll let you take the mic and
Cool.
share about that victory story.
Yeah, yeah. So like that, raising money for charity has been like a cornerstone of the business since it started. I was at a 9 to 5 job. It was a pretty toxic relationship between my supervisor and myself, where um, there was no upward movement for me, and I was just like coming home every day very very upset and very stressed, which is not really part of the story, but that's just painting a picture of where I was. So,
Yeah, no, it is a part of the story. I
yeah, I
mean,
was
at the
like, I can
beginning,
just
yeah.
get off on that because there's still some feelings there. But like that's where I was that day, and I was just over lunch thinking, what can I do on the side to like kind of create a business? And I had an idea. I've always had a fairly decent camera, and enjoyed photography. So I was like, I could buy like this lens, I could do this, and I wrote down my expenses to start the business, and a kind of threw around some ideas for a name and landed on All Heart Photography, and then came home, and it was 3 months into our marriage, and I was like, "Hey, I have an idea to start a business. What do you think?" And part of that idea was um, kind of grown from the fact that my wife and I like didn't have a lot of money. We were paycheck to paycheck. We had so many organizations and charities and like missionary friends that we wanted to help fund and we wanted to give to, but we didn't have any to give. So I was like, this would be something that after like the first two bookings, it's already making profit, and then we can use a portion of that profit to, like, before it even comes into our hands, to just go out, and we can partner with some
Yeah.
different charities. So from the beginning we had, I think it was like 10% at the beginning, and then we ended up landing on 15% of everything that came in went to a charity, and we've partnered with some really great ones over the years. And I think as of now we're like right over $90,000 that we've been able to redirect
You
from clients who, you know, pay us, and then we just move that into the hands of other charities and organizations. We've even, you know, funded a couple GoFundMe's for friends who were going through cancer and different things, and just like being able to use our money and our funds and resources in that way has been a huge blessing for us, and for them too, for sure.
I bet. Yes. Oh, yeah. And how does it feel when you are able to say, "Yes, I can give because I've put aside and organized my income to be able to have enough?" And how does it feel when you worked backwards like that
Yeah.
and found a way, a system to say, "Hey, I can use my camera to literally make something from nothing and say, here's what you need." And how does that feel? Like,
I
I bet
mean,
it
it
feels
feels amazing because like we can like tangibly see the change in other people's lives, and for us, it's not like we're taking food or money out of our house or anything. It's like when it comes in, it goes directly into this savings account that is for giving. So that's its own thing, and it doesn't like that's kind of one of the hard hurdles to get over is the like, oh well, we need to write this check for, we don't write checks anymore, what am I talking about, we need
but
to yeah,
yeah.
tells you about like when I first started all this. But
Sometimes you write checks. I
sometimes,
mean,
yeah, I
yeah.
haven't in years, because the last checks I had the wrong account number, and I was like, you know what, this is a
Oh
sign.
no.
I'm just not doing paper anymore. Um, but yeah, like that feeling of being able to help someone else and being able to help fund a GoFundMe so that they can get the operation that they need, or to
Mm,
some, you know, amazing organizations. There's one that we've been partnering with since the very beginning called the Archibald Project, where they fly around the country. They were both wedding photographers and videographers, and they use their cameras to tell the stories of different orphans in different places, and then share it on their YouTube and social media so that their future parents, the parents that are out there ready to adopt them, see them, and they're like,
we'll see.
"That's our kid. That's that's who, we didn't know who it was, but that's them," and then they can connect them. And so they've been a huge thing, and like seeing how many children are like getting adopted through the work that they've been doing, that we've been able to help fund over the last decade, has been really great. And just like, not in like an arrogant way of like, look what I did, I was able to do this,
No,
but just like that fulfillment of like, what I'm doing is bigger than me. It's bigger than
right.
just my four walls, and we're helping make the world a better place.
Well, it just the image that comes to mind is like a garden. Like you've planted these seeds and
Hmm.
you're planting them again. It seems like with your own family and being able to share what you're doing and why you're doing it and help friends, family, and even people that you might ever never get to meet in person, but that you can see how your involvement, even if it's just a little bit, can go a long way because
Mhm.
you are acknowledging that bigger story and not taking no for an answer. Like it sounds like
Yeah.
at the beginning, you might not have been in the best place, but it was that tension point of not enjoying the job you had that made you look at your camera and the resources that you did have and say, what would it take to get me to that? Not I can't afford it, but
Mhm.
how can I afford it? And how can I also not only afford it, but be able to help other people afford their what they're needing? And I imagine it also makes you way more willing when you need to way more willing to ask for help. And sometimes we are in those situations where we're like, hey, can how can it might seem like a no, but how can I do this? And it might be relying on a friend or asking a friend, or not relying but asking on a friend. And those relationships open up a lot more when we do ask for help and we're
Mhm.
able to help. So it just the garden is like so beautiful, and you're able to trade and like like a old time farmers market, like
Yeah.
trade,
It's like,
that
you
kind of thing.
got tomatoes, I have some
Yes.
asparagus. Here you go. Let's trade. Yeah.
Exactly, and that is so beautiful and just so rich in the way of, like, not monetary, but just in the way of having everything you need, and when you
Mhm.
look around and you're able to have those relationships and you feel like you're contributing and you are able to contribute and you're also sharing with your kids. I mean, let me ask you this, John,
Mhm.
how do you share your kid with your kids, like, when you do donate and when you're working and stuff, do you share those videos of the children and stuff, or at least with your 9-year-old maybe?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
they feel about it?
I mean, we've shared that kind of stuff with them. I do a lot of like charity events too, where
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere. Like I have one coming up next month. That's an annual thing for a charity here in town that they go to Ghana um,
Oh,
many times a year to set up like a fishing town. Pretty much teach the people there how to fish, how to like build their own business and everything, and that gets them out of child labor and trafficking and all that. And they've been doing that for 15 years, I think now. But they have a charity event every summer of like this casino night and people silent auction and raising money and all that. And I donate my photography services for that and get to be part of that. So like sharing that with the kids of like, hey, this weekend I'm going here and like they do this and they go and help these people, and here let's pull out a map and show you where Ghana is because I also don't really know and and all of that. And so yeah, definitely sharing with them in that sort. Don't really do like the, hey, we just made a deposit of a couple grand
right.
in this thing, but yeah, like sharing that kind of stuff with them for sure.
Well, thank you too for raising another generation of people who understand
Mm,
how it all can work, and that bravery and courage that you're instilling into your little ones to help people, because the world does need that, and it starts at home. And just taking those extra moments to do that from someone who is in the world and experiencing it on the other side. Like
mhm.
obviously I'm not in Texas, but thank you for raising more really big hearted and all
Mhm.
hearted
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And speaking of all heart, I want to focus a little bit on your photography business. Can you tell us why you chose the name All Heart? What does that mean to you?
yeah. I wanted to choose a name. One, I didn't want my photography business to just be like John Mansfield Photography because I was keeping options open for like expansion and like who knows, years down the road I might have an associate team, which I do. And it seemed weird to me to be like, oh yeah, John Mansfield Photography, and here's Ariel who's going to be your photographer. But yeah, I wanted a name that wasn't my name, and I wanted a name that kind of like gave a good description of how I would show up for them and the work that I would do, and also tie in my faith too. And it took me a bit of like going through different scriptures and stuff, and I found Colossians 3:23 that says, well, in one translation, that I think it was NIV, that says like, whatever you do it with all of your heart, as if working for the Lord and not for men. And I was like, okay, all of my heart. That's great. All heart. And like, I have that on my website and like that on my email signature and everything of, this is, I'm going to be showing up not for you, but for God. Like, I want to show up and do my best, because that's what I have, and I'm gonna show up with all of my heart, and it definitely comes through. Those 12-hour wedding days are brutal, but like, I'm there the whole time, and partying with them, and up, like, I'm not just like sitting in the corner. I have been to a couple weddings where I'm just like, oh, the photographer's just like chilling right now. What are they're missing moments? And yeah, I'm just like in there, and they feel that, and I want them to feel all of my heart is in it, and it's not just like, all right, well, you're another number on my book and a dollar in the bank, so I'll show up
Right.
and send you some photos.
Well, when you are all in, what is the biggest takeaway from the moments that, like, when you see your photos? Do you feel a certain way about the ones that you remember being even like more tuned in for, like maybe on the dance floor, or
Yeah.
when you get a moment back with maybe a loved one, like a parent or something? Are there tender moments or exciting moments that you feel shine through your work, and what do those look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that shine through the most are like those tiny little moments. The like the grandmother who's sitting in the corner because she can't walk all that well and doesn't want to be, walking all over the reception, and she's just there with like her grandkid or great grandkid who's just like walking up. I got one recently of like a grandmother with one of the children at the wedding, and they were just blowing bubbles at each other, because that's what they did
Oh,
for the exit out of the ceremony, and they were just blowing bubbles, and I was like, yeah, this is a very sweet moment of their relationship that I was able to witness and capture. And the couple is off on the dance floor, and they're dancing right now. They had no idea this was going on, and like, whenever they're looking through their gallery, they'll be like, oh, look at this, I love this, I didn't even know, like, when was this, and all that. So yeah, those kind of moments, those really like genuine, when people are showing their personalities with each other and don't really know that I'm there. I love those. And then yeah, also the dance floor. I love getting out there with everyone, and just like, I love feeling the music through the photos, and not just like standing on the sidelines and like, okay, yeah, this is what it was. It's like getting in there and feeling the emotions of like jumping around and dancing and screaming to Mr. Brightside. And
Oh, I was
yes.
just about to say that. I was like, you can tell the ones where Mr. Brightside are on. I
Yes.
swear I was about to say that.
Yep.
I cannot believe that. That's so funny. But yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And your photos do a great job of that. And I
Thanks.
think when your heart is open and your shutter is open, then you can capture those moments because you're open to
Mhm.
being able to see them. And like the grandmother with the grandchild and the bubbles, I can just imagine that. And I think I saw some bubbles on your story a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. So,
You did,
um,
yes.
listeners, you got to go check out those photos. Yes. And I'll share a few on the screen here for anyone who wants to look at the YouTube version of our interview and conversation. But yes, go and check out John on his Instagram and website. John, you want to drop those plugs in real quick so that people can find you online?
Yeah, for sure. I'm on Instagram all the time, as a good millennial should be,
Yeah.
and I'm in the stories and DMs a lot. But yeah, Instagram is All Heart Photo, and that's HEART, just like your heart. And some people are just like, "Are you John Hart? Is that your name?" I'm like, no, no, it is not. But yeah, All Heart Photo on Instagram. Website is allheartphoto.com. The podcast is Wisdom in the Tangents, which your episode will be out soon. And I am very excited for everyone to listen. If you enjoyed this conversation, you'll definitely enjoy that one too. Um,
Yes. And I love that you share wisdom in just conversations, talking to people, letting the
mhm,
wisdom come out. And there's always something you can get from an episode. So
yeah,
go listen to that, listeners. Wisdom in the Tangents.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, Instagram, and then from my website, you can find all the other places. My educational stuff is on there for photographers, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, before we go, do you have anything that you're loving? I know you asked me this question, and there's probably like four or five things that came to mind. I was like, I don't know why I said what I said, but do you have anything? I know you asked this to your listeners or to your
Mhm.
guests on your show, and I do the same thing. So, what books or podcasts or tools are really lighting you up? And in this season, it doesn't have to be like this week,
Yeah.
but this season,
Oh
that you
yeah.
want to share with other people.
So many things. Let's see. I'll do a book, a podcast, and a tool.
Oh yes,
Um,
okay, awesome,
uh,
very generous.
a book that I'm really loving. Uh, Actually, one that I just read recently. And it's a brand new book from Tamara Darden, who is a great product photographer out of DC, and she wrote her first book called the Photo CEO, and it is like a blueprint for creating and running a successful photography business. And it's not too thick either. It's not like 700 pages or anything. But yeah, I
Well, I have to know really quick,
yeah.
what did you take away from it? Because it sounds like you've been doing I mean, you have a successful photography business. So if you read it recently,
Mhm.
what's something that you liked about it?
I really liked she talked about like intention of why you do things, and that was a good reminder of like I've heard this before. I know that like I should be doing stuff that I enjoy, that I find fulfilling. And over the last couple of years, I had some stuff that would be a whole nother podcast episode of just like associates who did some stuff, and I am dealing with the aftermath of that. So it hurt the business by good 30-40 grand, which is not nothing. And
No,
yeah,
especially when you're giving back to other people, but yeah, I'm
yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So like with that, I got very in my mind of like, okay, well, I need to show up on social media in the way that uh, I think that other people would want to see me, and I need to take these photos in the way that I think people would want them. And I just kind of changed a little bit in like 22, 23, those years. And toward the end of 2023 was when I really um, kind of, that was before her book came out, but like started feeling this, and then the book just like reiterated it of
Mm.
when I do things that I really enjoy. Like I love doing double exposure photos and just like being creative and artsy, and not just a like here stand here and hold each other kind of thing, but bringing in different elements and their personalities and just like off the wall locations. um, I am more fulfilled in that. My creativity is like bursting at that point, and it's I'm in the flow, and also that has created um, more of a brand for me, that other people are just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire you because you shoot differently than everyone else, because you're very creative, and I don't even know what you will do at our engagement or wedding. So yeah, that I took that out of the book, and just like it's really great.
That's nice. And I love to hear that you're still able to learn, like you were mentioning
Yeah,
earlier. And it sounds like people really see your personality when you are intentional in your work, and they hire you because they can't get John anywhere else, like
right.
except through. through your business and your photography. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's good. That's cool. Okay, sorry, not to take you out of the question. So let's go back. You said a podcast that you would recommend.
Okay. I listen to so many podcasts. We'll do. There's a um, a business podcast. Let's see, a business podcast that I really like. Oh man, I can't just narrow it down to one. I'm trying to think of like ones that I listened to recently. Uh, there's uh, well, one that I kind of have gone back to. He doesn't record them anymore, but uh, shout out to Adam Mason, who's also from DC. Interesting.
Oh.
But the Bearded Tog podcast, I go back and listen to some of his conversations with people and just like get some good insight out of those.
And that's a business podcast?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll have to give that a listen too.
Yeah, yeah. And then also, just an interesting podcast is Search Engine, and it's
Hmm.
hosted by PJ Vogt. He goes through and kind of like answers questions that he would put into like Google, and just like one was a recent one was like how much glue can you put in a pizza safely or something.
Ooh, ew.
And yeah, it kind of like went off of this whole like weird AI Reddit thing. It's an interesting story, but like he's a investigative journalist, and they're always just really interesting shows. So yeah, Search Engine is cool.
Search engine.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to that one on my next road trip. That does sound
Yes.
really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, the what a cool concept for a show because we all Google really random things or put random questions into the search engine. And yeah, that sounds like it would be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, John, for coming on. And listeners, go check him out. All Heart Photography, Heart HEART Photography, and Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. Or y'all are on Instagram as Wits, right?
Yeah. Witpod, WITT.pod.
Wit Pod.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You're going to love his podcast too. So I'm throwing that out there again.
Awesome.
Go listen to it, listeners. And John, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed this.
We'll have to come back and do a follow-up episode in the future if you're willing. I'd love to invite you back on
Oh, yeah.
and tell us more about just your victory stories and how your life as a dad and business owner has been going. So we'll hear from you again, I hope.
Yes, I would love that. I can talk all the time. So, yes, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And you can always learn something from his podcasts. So go check him out, and we'll talk to you again soon, hopefully. Bye, John.
Bye.